the bite-sized segment way to record this is honestly the way to go, in my opinion. Just makes sense.
Part 1. White Clouds. Great Tree Moon. 3 houses. The icy winds of the Agma Mountains have begun to scatter, and the verdant fields once again spring to life across Fodlan, heralding the start of a new year. As they celebrate the dawning year, the people pray that they may realize their full potential, just as a tiny sprout hopes to one day grow into a great tree. The continent of Fodlan, said to be protected by a revered goddess, has existed since time immemorial. 3 ruling powers now control the land. In the south lies a region long held by a more than 1,000-year-old dynasty, the Adrestian Empire. Beyond its borders, to the frigid north, is the home of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus, ruled by the royal family and its knights. To the east, a league of nobles that heeds no king nor emperor rules what is called the Leicester Alliance. Once consumed by a tempest of war and turmoil, Fodlan and these 3 mighty powers now exist in relative harmony.
This will be your first time at the monastery. I'd be happy to show you around.
It really is Fodlan in a nutshell. The good and the bad.
Like it or not, we'll be there soon enough. There it is. Garrick Mock Monastery.
Is here.
I wonder, did the flow of time bring you here?
It's been years since I've last set eyes on this place. To be forced to see her now, I've never spoken of this to you before, but many years ago, I was a knight here. I reported to the Archbishop, Lady Rhea. As you know, the majority of folks in Fodlan are devout followers of the teachings of Seros. The leader of that ridiculously large religious organization is the Archbishop, Lady Rhea.
Thank you for your patience, Gerald. My name is Seteth. I am an advisor to the Archbishop.
Right. Hello.
It has been a long time, Gerald. I wonder, was it the will of the goddess that we have another chance meeting like this?
Forgive my silence all these years. Much has happened since we last spoke.
So I see. The miracle of fatherhood has blessed you. That is your child, is it not?
Yes. Born many years after I left this place. I wish I could introduce you to the mother of my child, but I'm afraid we lost her to illness.
I see. My condolences. As for you, I heard of your valiant efforts from Alois. What is your name? A fine name indeed. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you for saving those students of the Officers' Academy. Gerald, you already know what it is I wish to say, do you not?
You want me to rejoin the Knights of Seros, don't you? I won't say no, but
Your apprehension stings. I had expected that Alois would have already asked this of you. I must step away for now, but I expect they will desire a word with you soon. Please listen carefully to what they have to say. Until tomorrow, farewell.
I can't believe it. Forced back into the Knights of Seros. I'm sorry I dragged you into this. Looks like I'll be stuck here for a while. And I'm afraid your services are requested as well. Nothing like that. They want you to teach, by the sound of it. You heard those brats earlier talking about the Officers' Academy, right? Well, the Academy just happens to be short a professor. And apparently that damned Alois went and recommended you to Lady Rhea.
So, you must be the new professor. My, how stern and handsome you are.
No. I'm not the one you're looking for. You can handle things from here. Good luck. And watch out for Lady Rhea. I don't know what she's thinking making you a professor like this. She may be up to something. Stay on your guard.
Oh, it's you then? So young.
Competence and age are not necessarily correlated, as you well know. I am Hanneman, a Crest Scholar and Professor at the Officers' Academy. I wonder if you bear a crest of your own. When next you have a moment to spare, I insist that you pay me a visit so we can delve into the subject further.
I'm Manuela. I'm a professor, a physician, a songstress, and available. It's nice to meet you. I look too pretty for that line of work, do I? But yes, when I'm not teaching, I can be found in the infirmary. If you're ever lonely, please do come and pay me a visit. I would love to.
Spare our colleague the needless chatter, Manuela. Now then, it seems you'll be taking charge of one of the Academy's 3 houses. I expect you haven't yet been briefed on the nature of each, have you?
Do you really not know? Fine. I'll do you a favor and explain. The Officers' Academy is comprised of 3 houses of students, each of which is closely affiliated with its region of origin. The Black Eagle House is for students from the Adrestian Empire. Their house leader this year is Edelgard, the Imperial Princess, who is in line to be the next Emperor.
The Blue Lion House is for students from the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. Their house leader this year is Prince Dimitri. He is to be the next king of Fargus.
Lastly, there is the Golden Deer House, which is for students of the Leicester Alliance. Their house leader is Claude, grandson to Duke Regan, the leader of the Alliance.
To think that the next Emperor, King, and Sovereign Duke are all here. It certainly is a promising year for the Academy.
I'll say, I just hope none of those little treasures cause any trouble.
Quite. For now, I suggest taking a stroll around the Academy to get your bearings. And when you've a moment, please stop by my research laboratory.
The old man has a point. Oh, and keep in mind that I've only notified the house leaders that you're our new professor. It's more fun that way. I suggest you try spending time with the students. Some odd ducks in that bunch, but they're good kids. I'm sure Lady Rhea will have more information for you tomorrow, but that should get you going. Good luck. You'll need it.
Have you no intention of changing your mind, Rhea? Appointing a stranger, a child no less, as a professor at our esteemed academy is...
I have made my decision, Sedith. I know worrying comes naturally to you, but there is truly no need. That stranger is Gerald's flesh and blood, after all.
I can't say that's all too comforting. How trustworthy is this Gerald character? Is he not the man who went missing after the Great Fire 21 years ago? I would remind you that Flame is now here with us as well. I beg of you, please consider whether this is an unnecessary risk.
Sedith, they have my trust. Let that be enough for you as well. More importantly, I have received a report from Shamir. I am increasingly concerned about a matter regarding our suspicious individual. We cannot ignore those who harbor ill will toward the Church, especially if they are frequenting Garrick Mach.
Yes, that matter is of great importance as well. I shall continue my investigation. Rhea, for now I will have faith that you are placing your trust with the utmost care. I pray that nothing occurs to shake that confidence.
Of course.
Okay.
I assume you are already aware that you will be teaching here at the Officers' Academy, correct? To start, please speak with the 3 house leaders. You should also take a look around the Academy and acquaint yourself with your new home. That is your first task here at the monastery. Please let me know if you accept it. Once you have finished, come and speak with me.
Okie dokie
May I
then.
ask
Let's
a
accept our
favor?
quest. So I will be talking to everybody, but the only people I'm gonna talk about are the students, and I'm gonna be, I guess the characters I'm gonna be actively using, pretty much.
Ha! I imagine you were a bit surprised that I recommended you as a professor here. Frankly, we had someone else in mind for the role, but they ran off during our dust-up with the bandits. Can't entrust students to someone who's abandoned them once before, huh?
You saved the lives of the students you came across. That, at least, was admirable. Now you should make the rounds. Go around the monastery and see that you greet everyone.
Okay. Edelgard's up first. Yes, yes, it's a very empty place because all the NPCs haven't loaded in yet.
So, you've accepted a teaching position here. Pity. I was hoping you would lend your strength to the Empire. I never properly introduced myself, did I? My name is Edelgard von Hresvelg. I am the princess and heir apparent of the Adrestian Empire. I wonder if you'll be tasked with leading the Black Eagles. I hope you've had a chance to meet everyone. Would you like to know more about any of the Black Eagles?
Sure, because I am recruiting 2 of them. I will be recruiting Petra and Linhardt, although I will not be actively using Linhardt.
To the west of Fodlan is an archipelago called Brigid. Petra is the granddaughter of their king. Brigid is a vassal state of the Empire, which is how she came to be enrolled here. She's incredibly smart and studious.
Petra is a very good unit, in my opinion. She's very fast, and speed is the name of the game in Maddening. You do not want the enemy to be able to double you, and you would prefer to be able to double them. Not every character is going to be able to do that, and eventually most characters won't be able to do it just because of the attack speed just starts scaling on the enemies pretty hard towards the end of the game. But Petra can usually keep pace. She's for the longest. She's got one of the highest speed growths in the game, if not the highest. Let me see what Yuri's is. Yeah, so she's the highest speed as a non-DLC character, basically. The only one who's higher is Yuri from the Cindered Shadows DLC. I think that's what it was called. Whatever, the Ash and Wolves DLC, and he's at 65. So she's basically guaranteed to get speed every level up, pretty much. The thing that hurts her sometimes is her strength that's down at 40, which is not super great. So it is very possible for her to get strength screwed, and since your attack speed is affected by your strength, it can potentially limit her eventually. Now, in my Golden Deer run that I have up on this channel, she's actually, like, just blessed. She got strength, I think, 12 level ups in a row from when I recruited her, some crazy thing like that. Never seen anything like it. It was great. So she was a beast in that one, and I'm going to be recruiting her. I believe she'll be the 2nd person I recruit in this run. Yeah. And we're going to get to see how she does, but she's usually a pretty solid unit all game, which is nice. As for class progression, for Golden Deer I kind of just let everybody fly because I felt like it. This time I'm going to not be doing that, so I'm probably going to take her down Brigand and Assassin / Swordmaster, pretty much. I'll probably leave her as an Assassin just to get her dex up, because she works really well with dex, and since a high dex gives you a higher crit rate, well, you know how it goes. Hunter's Boon can be okay sometimes, but unless you plan on abusing, like, Vantage, it's not the most reliable thing, but you can, and because of that high crit rate and her decent dex growth, which is at 50, if you make her an assassin and give her Vantage, which I plan on doing, by the way, she can be kind of difficult for the enemy to deal with, because she'll have a crit chance of like 70+% at that point, probably. But yeah, that's Petra, a pretty good unit, in my opinion. Linhardt.
He's remarkably intelligent, but he only wishes to apply himself to tasks that particularly interest him, and nothing else. He's also fond of, well, napping. If he had any work ethic or sense of duty to speak of, I suppose he would be destined to become an official of the Empire.
Linhardt's probably the 2nd best healer in the game, and I'm mostly only recruiting him for a paralog in Part 2. And the reason I'm not using him is because the Blue Lions have the best healer in the game, who I'll get to when I get to her. But otherwise, he gets Warp, which automatically makes him good because Warp is a broken spell and allows you to cheese half the game if you're really interested. Offensively, he's okay, I suppose. Yeah, he's okay. His magic growth is only 45, so he'll never be like a heavy hitter, but he can do okay sometimes. But his primary job is to heal. That said, he does not get Fortify. He only has like heal and physic, and he gets Warp, and I believe he gets Rescue? No, I don't think he gets Rescue. What does he get? Yeah, he gets Physic, he gets Restore, and he gets Warp, and he gets Heal. Yeah, so Warp is what kind of elevates him above the, Marianne, I suppose, and Manuela also gets Warp, but you don't get her from level 1, so screw her. So yeah, pretty simple. Catnap is bleh, it sucks. It doesn't matter. Irrelevant. But yeah, that's Linhardt. Pretty much exclusively a healer always.
Huh? Greetings! You must be the new professor. What a pleasure. As for me, my job is to stand here at this glorious entrance and leisurely watch over the comings and goings of everyone. Make folks smile, you know? And by that, I mean to vigilantly guard this entrance with my very life. No levity whatsoever. As of now, nothing to report.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, well, scored a teaching gig here, did you? Talk about a great first impression. I guess that means I'd better introduce myself properly. I'm Claude von Regan. I'm from the ruling house of the Leicester Alliance, but don't worry too much about all that madness. I'm guessing you don't know which class you'll be teaching yet, do you? I bet you'd like ours. We're not as difficult as the other two. Have you met the folks from the Golden Deer House yet? Care to know more about anyone?
Yes, I do, because I will be recruiting 3 people from this house. So take it from the top. Leonie.
Leonie enrolled because she wants to be a mercenary. I think she said that her father is a hunter. She's pretty blunt and as stingy as they come. A habitual saver, too. I think she's hoping to repay her village for helping to send her here.
Leonie is very similar to Petra in that she is tied for highest speed as a non-DLC character at 60, which means generally her speed is never a problem. He has the same strength as Petra at 40. Her dex is 5 higher at 55. And as you can see, the game kind of pushes her to either be like a Cavalier Paladin or a Bow Knight, basically. And because the Blue Lions really lack strong ranged users, basically, that is kind of why I plan on recruiting her eventually, is to fill in that gap. She's very strong as a recruitable unit, just because when you recruit units, their stats are typically, I don't want to say better, but in the case of like Ingrid, Petra, and Leonie, their strength is usually higher than it would be if you leveled them from level 1. So by the time I recruit Leonie, her strength will probably be around like 15 to 20. Which, if you watched like my Golden Deer run, her strength, like she ended the game with like 28 strength or something hilariously low like that. She's a pretty good unit, obviously, for very similar reasons to Petra. She has her little rivalry ability, which is decent early game, but of course, like 2 extra damage and 2 less damage really doesn't mean a whole lot as the game goes. Because, you know, taking 2 less damage at like 60 HP is like whatever, usually. So she makes a pretty good archer. As it turns out, she's also a very strong Falcon Knight, just like Ingrid and Petra can be a very strong Falcon Knight. Her defense is really solid. Of the 3 of those, which are the speed people, Petra, Ingrid, and Leonie are all the speed demons. She has the highest defense at 40, but she also is tied with Petra basically for having the second lowest resistance in the game. The only two people who have lower resistance than them is Dedu and Raphael. Dedu, who I'll talk about in a bit. Raphael, not so much now. Yeah, otherwise her stats are pretty much on par with Petra's across the board, and Ingrid's, to be fair. Although Ingrid has her own drawbacks. So yeah, I'll probably end up having her recruited second just because her requirements are like strength of 15 and lances at sea, and since I'm going to be taking Byleth down the Falcon Knight route, I'll have lances to sea pretty easily. So I will be recruiting her fairly early. Let's learn about like the best unit in the game.
Lysithea is the daughter of Count Ordelia, and is probably the youngest student here. But watch out, she gets angry if you treat her like a child. As for me, I do it on purpose. You have to make your own fun in this place, you know?
So in my opinion, Lysithea is the only good magic user, offensive mage, in this game. Everyone else is okay, but Lysithea is the only one that has high growths in magic, dex, and speed. So her magic growth is 60, and her dex is 60, and her speed is 50. I don't think anyone else in the game has a magic growth of 60. And the only other unit that has like an offensive growth of 60 is Dimitri. It's not magic, don't get me wrong, but he has the highest strength gain, Lysithea has the highest magic gain. So she hits hard. Now, her strength gain is only, 15? And since tomes and weapons and all that have weight, that usually means her attack speed is limited because of her strength and not her speed. So she usually ends the game with around like 12 strength, which is like, you know, garbage. So her attack speed usually doesn't get above 40, but usually her magic is just so high that she's pretty much one-shotting things anyway. Mastermind is incredible. It basically allows her to master any class you change her to, like in maybe a tenth of the time it takes everyone else, especially if you've got a knowledge gem, because typically you only get like 1 point towards class mastery per battle. Lysithea gets 2, and then if you give her a knowledge gem she gets 4. So it's like she masters a class in like 20 battles, and everybody else it takes like 40 plus or something like that. Like, it's crazy. So that's a very abusable ability. And the nice thing about her growths being so high is you don't really have to rely on classes for her to get like good level ups. She usually gets good level ups the entire game, which is great, because since you don't care about her attack speed, you don't really need speed to consider her level ups good. You just need magic, and that's pretty much all she needs. She also gets dark spikes earlier on, which helps you deal with one of the more annoying recurring bosses in the game. I won't go into that now because spoils, but she's pretty invaluable in taking him out. But yeah, that's Lysithea. She's I consider her one of the best units in the game. She's pretty ridiculous, honestly. I don't think I haven't had a single playthrough of this game where she wasn't on my squad, including the very first one. So it would feel really weird to not just immediately try to recruit her. And the third and final person we will recruit from the deer is Lorenz, and he, much like Linhardt, is pretty much only being recruited for a paralog.
He's the heir of Gloucester territory. If you haven't already picked up on it, he's a bit arrogant and fancies himself a ladies' man. That said, deep down he's really devoted and honest, though I wouldn't mind never hearing him talk about his noble obligations ever again.
So Lorenz is, I consider him kind of part of the trio of Lorenz, Sylvain, and Ferdinand. So he's like your pretty typical, like, noble cavalier type guy. He is a decent, he's an okay Dark Knight, which is, you know, like a cavalier magic user. But of the three of them, I think he's the worst unit. just because Distinguished House is like, who cares? His growths are mediocre and just worse than Sylvain and Ferdinand's, so I pretty much never actually use him as an active unit in Maddening, but he's like, nobody's truly useless. Like, you can use him and it's fine, but it annoys me. So I'm pretty much only using him to get Lysithea a relic that makes her broken. That's basically Lorenz.
Ah, you must be that renowned mercenary. Perhaps you'd like to join me for a cup of tea sometime. My name is Lawrence Hellman Gloucester. You will want to remember it.
Hi.
So you're the skilled mercenary who saved Claude, are you?
Oh, you are? It's such an honor to meet you. Ignatz Victor. My parents are Alliance merchants.
And I am Lysithea von Ordelia. Please do not forget it.
It's like this.
Hey, are you that mercenary? Everyone's been talking about you. I'm Hilda Valentine Goneril, and her name is...
Marianne von Edmund.
Are you joining the Knights of Seros or something? Well, I look forward to seeing more of you.
Huh? Are you someone's guest? The dining hall's that way, if that's what you're looking for.
No, Raphael. That's Captain Gerald's kid. Hi, I'm Leonie Pinelli, Captain Gerald's first and greatest apprentice. I'm sure he's told you about me.
Nice to meet you. I'm Raphael Kirsten. Who are you again?
Well, that's nice, Raphael. Thanks.
Okay.
Go here and chat to all the Black Eagles, and then we'll finish off with the Lions.
Well now, you don't have a familiar face. What brings you here? Oh, my name is Dorothea. Before I joined the Academy, I was a member of an opera company in the Empire. You should hear me sing sometime.
I may recruit Dorothea for giggles if I have extra time in this part 1 here.
What? I don't talk to strangers.
Bernadetta, this is no stranger. Our house leader owes this person a great debt. Is that not right? I am Ferdinand von Eyre, legitimate son of the Eyre family, the Empire's foremost house. Are you going to join our class? I look forward to getting better acquainted with you.
Is it true that you saved Edelgard? That's incredible. The name's Caspar, by the way. Pleased to meet you.
Linhard, goodbye.
Sheesh, Linhard. How'd you get into the academy with those manners? So, are you a student here too? Maybe we'll be in the same class.
Mm-hmm.
I am Hubert, a humble servant of Lady Edelgard. I heard you came to the aid of Her Highness. You have my most sincere thanks. This is Petra. She has come all the way from Brigid to study in the Empire. Back on her archipelago, she is actually a princess. In Fodlan terms, she would be called heir to the throne.
Hello, I am called Petra. I am pleased to be meeting with... I am pleased to have met you.
Hey!
Okay?
Okay, I'm gonna go chat with these guys and then talk to Dimitri.
Hi there. You must be the one everyone's talking about. I'm Ash. Great to meet you. This here is Dedu. He serves Prince Dimitri.
I have heard that you rescued His Highness. Words cannot express my gratitude. Should you ever require my strength, please know that I will hasten to repay this debt.
Hey, hey! Well, well, it must be my lucky day today, being approached by such a beauty. I'm Sylvain Jose Gautier. Feel free to say hi whenever you like.
I have heard all about what you did from Prince Dimitri. As a citizen of Fargus, I thank you.
He also said you're quite skilled, and he doesn't just say things like that. I look forward to sparring with you and beating you.
Felix, must you always speak of fighting right away? Oh, and, you may call me Ingrid. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And who's this? You don't look familiar at all. Do you work here at the monastery? Oh, Mercy! Do you think this is that mercenary people have been talking about? Now that I think about it, that does sound like something Dimitri may have said. I suppose you'll be enrolling at the Officers' Academy too, then? Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Mercedes, and this is my best friend.
I'm Annette. It's nice to meet you.
Oh, poor Annette.
Okay.
Poor Annette.
Right.
Please accept my apologies for the other day. You came to our aid, yet I hadn't even the courtesy to properly introduce myself. I am Dimitri Alexandra Blaiffid, Crown Prince of the Holy Kingdom of Fargus. Of course, at the Academy, I am simply a student. And I've heard word that you are to become a professor here. Delightful news. I still have much to learn, but I'm confident I could benefit greatly from your guidance. In any case, welcome to the monastery. I hear you're investigating the different houses here. Did any of the Blue Lions catch your attention?
Sure, man. Alright. So, in my opinion, this is honestly probably the best house in the game. I think they have the best unit in the game. They have like one of the best units in the game. They have the best healer. They have the best rally bot / dancer. And it has the best Pegasus Knight. So it's like, it also has the best tank. And all the archers are pretty much the same character. So in my opinion, they're honestly the best house. Like by far. But it's just how it goes.
Oh, please forgive me. It's difficult to open up on the spot, don't you think? I'm afraid my story has not been a pleasant one. I do hope that doesn't color your view of me, but I understand if that can't be helped.
So this is the Boar, the best unit in the game right here. With his ungodly strength gain of 60. Has HP of 55, his dex is 50, his speed is 50, his defense is a ridiculous 40. It's one of the higher defense growths in the game. His resistance is at 20, and while that's not super high, considering his defense is already just 40, that leaves a lot of potential for him to get relatively lucky and just not take any damage at all. And his charm is 55, so he's tied with Claude for like the second highest charm in the game. That strength gain is insane. It's very easy to have him hit 60 to 70 strength by the time the game's over. And his speed growth is high enough that it's very easy to bump it up as well, picking the right classes, and having that also hit about 50. So you're basically... he's still the only unit I've ever seen actually hit the damage cap. And while I'm fairly certain you have to get very lucky to hit 999 damage on a crit with him, he can do it, for sure. I've seen it. And it's very special. He has a weakness in axes, but we're going to be ignoring that and learning him axes, mostly just so I can class change him to warrior. Why warrior? Because Dimitri with Wrath is a very funny thing. That's pretty much it. He is going to basically literally carry the whole game by himself, pretty much. The dude's a beast. I hope you enjoy watching him just wreck this game.
Dedu was born in Dusker, and has been loyally working in my service for the past 4 years. He's rather taciturn, but once you get to know him, you'll see he's a kind and good-natured young man.
Dedu is your stereotypical defensive unit. I actually think he has one of the better defining abilities in the game. I feel like Staunch Shield is pretty underrated. I never really see people talk about it, but I suppose I don't frequent like gameplay discussion forums for this game, so I'm probably just not talking to the right people. But that +4 defense is very useful in the early game. He's actually probably one of the better units in the early game because of it, because you can just plop him down and he can tank 2, 3, maybe even 4 units, and they will double him, and that's crazy that he can do that, because he has I think he has the highest HP growth. Second highest. Raphael's #1 at 65, Dedu's at 60. His weaknesses in riding, his weakness in riding really hurts him, because his natural progression is down the Armored Knight, Fortress Knight, Great Knight tree, and Great Knight requires an A in riding, and that kind of sucks. There are also other reasons why he falls off super hard as the game goes. So he will be benched. I plan on using everyone in the blue lines except for Dedue by the time the end game rolls around. I'll still have him adjunct and, like, you know, build up supports with people, but we will come to a point where I will no longer be using him. But in the early game, I will absolutely be abusing him and his abilities. He's very solid in the early game, in my opinion. Felix.
Felix is the heir to House Fraldarius. He has a bit of a sharp tongue, but don't let that fool you. Deep down, he's a good guy. He gravitates toward people who are skilled. Perhaps you would enjoy a friendly competition with him sometime.
So Felix is probably one of the best offensive units in the game, outside of like Dimitri, Edelgard, and Lysithea, because his strength is just behind Dimitri's at 55, his speed is 5 higher than Dimitri's at 55, and his dex is a solid 45. Now, he talks about being a swordmaster, but that man is not a swordmaster. He is the macho man. He wants to punch things. So we're going to be having him learn brawling and axes, because he's not sturdy enough, and his avoid, I don't really think, ever realistically gets high enough that I'm comfortable having him dodge tank everything. So he's much better, in my opinion, as someone who can just guarantee one round people. And it's quite nice. What else? His defining ability is It's fine. It's really good early game because, you know, it's just 5 extra damage, which is nice. But eventually when he's like hitting 4 times and he has like a 70% crit chance, 5 extra damage is just kind of like whatever. The weakness and authority doesn't really matter. All you need to do is get him to B eventually so he can use a good gambit. And that's about it with him. His defense is at 30, which is pretty average. Maybe slightly. Yeah, no, that's pretty average. And his resistance is 20, which is the same as the boars. And his charm is only 30, which means he kind of has a hard time hitting and dodging gambits as the game goes. But since you really only have him going in to finish people off instead of having him be like a sword master or whatever, I think it's fine and it plays to his strengths. He's a banger of a unit. The Golden Deer run I recorded was easily the best Felix I've ever had. It was a lot of fun watching him and Petra just absolutely clobber most of the game. It made it even easier than it usually is. It was very amusing. So yeah, Felix is a great unit, and I also usually or generally recruit him whenever I'm playing any of the other houses. He's very good. Ash.
He's the adoptive son of Lord Lenato of Castle Gaspar, but I hear he was born a commoner. He has an extremely earnest personality, so I'm certain he will approach your lectures with great enthusiasm.
Ash has, well, he has lockpick, so I guess I don't have to frantically remember to buy chest keys or door keys anymore, at least not in the Lions. He's like the typical archer: Bernadetta, Ash, Ignatz. Of the 3 of them, I think Ignatz is the best. Bernadetta is probably the second best, just because of her persecution complex is pretty solid sometimes, and I also just think that's a really funny name. And Ash is probably the worst. They all have a 35 strength growth, which is mediocre, so none of them are basically set up to do any significant damage, which is not what you want. His dex is 55, so they all pretty much have the same dex. Ignatz is at 50, but there's not much of a difference between 5%, at least not in that instance. Anything over 50 is fine. 5% here or there isn't going to kill you. And they're all tied at 50% speed? Yeah. So they're all very comparable. Like, Ignatz has more luck, but I believe Ash has a little more defense. You know, things like that. Same with Bernadetta. Their stats vary slightly, but they're all basically the same unit. His strength is really a problem. He usually, like, if he gets some like a bunch of, if he gets like 4 or 5 no strength level ups in a row, like in the early game, you pretty much have to just like carry him. And you just have to carry him, and you have to carry him, and it sucks. The last time I played Blue Lions before I started recording all this stuff, I got a blessed Ash. Like, he was a beast. The dude got like 8 strength level ups in his first 10 levels, and I've never seen that happen before. It was great. I'm going to be putting him on some strength, some classes that give him more strength growth to try to increase the odds. It may work out, it may not, but I am planning on using him for the whole game, so I hope to God it does, because if not, well, I got some dead weight to deal with. Sylvain.
Sylvain is the heir to House Gautier. He is a capable person who highly values his friends. That said, well, he's always been a bit of a skirt chaser, so to speak. Pardon my bluntness. I speak with him about it often, but it doesn't seem to help.
Yeah, I bet. So Philander is a kind of funny ability, and it can occasionally be relatively useful early, but again, it's like Leone's. As the game goes, it doesn't really matter anymore. He's the second best Cavalier default unit, I guess, out of Ferdinand, him, and Lorenz. Mostly just because he and Ferdinand have similar stats, but in my opinion, Ferdinand's combat arts are just better. And his defining ability is better. He gets a pretty decent boost to his dodge chance if he has full HP, which is way better. It's better to just not get hit. It really is. Sylvain, yeah, 45 strength, same as Ferdinand. 35 dex, which is not great, and 50 speed. And the 50 speed is nice because Cavaliers, or the horsey classes, for lack of a better term, pretty much across the board give you -10 to your speed growth until you get to the master classes, I think. Let me check real quick so I'm not lying. Yeah, so Great Knight still gives you -10. The Magic Knights give you -5, and Mortal Savant gives you God, what ape made that class? So Sylvain's basically, since I plan on making him go down the Paladin tree because I'm tired of making all my units flyers, he's basically going to have 40% speed growth all game, and it will hurt him. But typically, in my experience, he usually, even at just giving him 50% speed, or even like 55 to 60% by making him a Wyvern Lord, he never has enough speed to just like not get doubled by half the shit I put him up against anyway. So I'm gonna try just taking him down kind of like a weird, really defensive build, and just see how it works out. And we will experience this together. So that'll be fun. Is a weakness for bows, which sucks because bows are really nice in the early game on Maddening, but well, it's not a big deal, whatever. As long as it can hit things, it's fine. Best healer in the game.
I hear she was born to imperial nobility, but a twist of fate brought her to the kingdom. She may seem carefree on the surface, but she's actually a kind soul who pays careful attention to everyone around her.
So, best healer in the game. Her defining ability is alright. I usually just don't let her get hit in the first place. But every now and then you kind of just, you're under a ballista or something and she's going to get attacked, because the healers always get attacked because they're usually the weakest. And this means she doesn't have to worry about healing herself after it happens. Other than that, the reason she's the best healer in the game is once you get to the bishop class and you get her a healing staff, she can basically heal someone for like 40 HP every turn, and she gets Fortify at an A rank in Faith. And Fortify basically lets her full heal her entire team in one turn. And you get it 4 times as a bishop, so it's like ridiculous. She's a broken healer. And because of that, I pretty much always recruit her. And that's pretty much it. Don't need to really talk about her growths much because she's just a healer, so it doesn't matter. But I will say, she's tied with Marianne with a 50% magic growth, so she actually can do okay damage. And that's fine. Like, she's decent, and you can use her to finish people off if you're in a pinch. But yeah, she's typically 99% of the time just there to heal people. Unfortunate Annette.
Annette is Baron Dominic's niece. She is a talented student who scored extremely high marks at the Royal School of Sorcery. She's cheerful and hardworking. Brilliant, really. Though she can be a bit oblivious at times. I hear she caused an explosion in the kitchen last night.
Annette is a mage, and I did say Lysithea is the only good mage in the game, and I kind of mean that. So Annette has a 50% magic growth, which is fine. And then she has a 50% dex growth, which is fine. And then she gets 35% speed. So she's basically a way weaker Lysithea, because she will not end up as strong as Lysithea. And since Lysithea can take advantage of Thrisis, and Annette can't really, at least not naturally anyway, it just means Lysithea just outclasses her in every way. But the nice thing about Annette is she has that Perseverance rally, which basically lets you just give 4 strength to anybody you want that turn. So she also gets some more rallies as you level up some of her stuff, which basically turns into a rally bot, which unironically just kind of makes her the best dancer in the game. Because all Dancer does is refresh turns, and if you don't need to refresh a turn and just kill somebody, usually Annette rallying someone pretty much guarantees they're going to kill somebody, because 4 strength is no joke. So she's still useful, even if she's not the best mage in the world, and her magic is high enough that as a Dancer, if she needs to kill something in a pinch, she's more than capable of doing it. So she's not useless, I just don't think she's a good mage. You're better off either having her do what I'm going to make her do, be a rally bot, or making her do like some funny meme Wyvern Lord stuff with the Crusher relic, which is very entertaining, by the way. But I won't be doing that this time. I'll be making her the rally bot.
Ingrid is Count Galatia's daughter. She is also a childhood friend of Felix, Sylvain, and myself. She is diligent, industrious, and principled. In truth, she is more knightly than most knights you will ever meet.
Oh, Ingrid's great. I love Ingrid. That Lady Knight ability is solid. It's okay. You typically don't care about using gambits for damage, but sometimes that helps. And the +5 to hit is also nice too, because it can really save you in a pinch. Otherwise, her strength growth is the same as, well, it's actually the lowest between Petra and Leonie herself at 35. So she's basically comparable with all the archers. She has a pretty low dex at 40, which is not great. And in my experience, she does tend to have issues actually hitting people if you don't help her out a little bit. And you also kind of have to help her strength. But what's nice about her is she's a natural like Falcon Knight. And her speed is 60, which is great. Her defense is okay at 30. So if you get a little lucky, it's possible for her to be decently tanky to physical damage. And her resistance is 40, which for a non-magic character is pretty damn good, if I would say so myself. It's above average for sure. Which basically means she's a very good mage killer. That's pretty much her purpose in life, is to kill magic users. And she's very good at it, especially if she gets some solid strength growths. Now on my Deer playthrough, I probably had one of the worst Ingrids I've ever had. But I also had one of the worst Leonies I've ever had. So it just happens, and that's kind of why I like this game, is sometimes you get like just... sometimes your Petra is just a monster, and then sometimes your Ingrid sucks. So we'll see what we're going to get this game, but typically she's pretty solid until like the very end of the game. And I just like her character, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everybody. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. We should return to Rhea.
How are you enjoying your time at the Academy thus far? I hope you have found our halls brimming with the vitality of well-intentioned souls.
I suppose it is time for you to take charge of one of our 3 houses of students. I must note that I am personally against entrusting someone as lacking in trackable history as yourself with such a task. But it is as the Archbishop desires.
The Black Eagles, the Blue Lions, and the Golden Deer. All so different. I hope you've made it a point to get to know each of them.
Since you are new here, we have decided to allow you first pick. Manuela and I will take charge of the remaining 2 houses.
So you have chosen the Blue Lions led by Dimitri, correct? Your heart has made its choice then. All I ask is that you guide these open minds with virtue, care, and sincerity.
They are all promising youths who bear the weight of Fodlan's future upon their shoulders. I hope you appreciate what an honor it is to lead them.
Brother? Oh, I am so sincerely sorry. I did not mean to interrupt.
I'm in the middle of something, Flane. Is it urgent?
No, it's nothing. More importantly, who is this?
This is our newest professor at the Academy.
Oh my! A new addition to the Officers' Academy! I am so very pleased to meet you, Professor. I am Sedith's little sister, Flame. I am so happy to make your acquaintance.
Let us focus on the topic at hand. There is something you should be aware of. In a few days' time, there will be a mock battle between the 3 houses, intended to gauge the current progress of the students. We will be using this battle as an opportunity to ascertain your own abilities as well. Please do not disappoint the Archbishop. That is all.
Wait, does this mean our new professor is... No, I really can't believe it! But I was speaking to you so casually, as though we were companions. Oh, I am so sorry, Professor. You just look the same age as the rest of us, and... Oh, and I'm sorry I just said that too. I really must watch my tongue. You say that, but I just don't know about all of this.
I'll admit, it doesn't sit well with me either. After all, we wish to show you due respect.
Sure, but if the professor says it's okay, shouldn't that be enough? That is, if your highness can consent to such a thing. After all, we're already speaking this way to our future king, so we may as well relax our speech with our professor too, right?
Well, we're not in the kingdom, so it only goes to follow that we should all speak companionably. I concede. If the professor says it's fine, we ought to accept that kindness gratefully.
As for me, I'm not sure I can manage.
You don't have to force yourself if it's too difficult. You're fine with that too, right, Professor?
Such benevolence is a sight to behold. I don't suppose you would care to join me for tea. We could discuss education and marriage.
Control yourself, Sylvain. I have more important matters to discuss with our new professor. Come to the training ground later. There, you will show me what you're capable of.
You aren't wasting any time, are you, Felix? As it were, count me in for any such battle.
Pardon me, but I would also love to observe you in battle for future reference, if that's okay with you.
Ash, I won't have you speak of merely watching. You should join us as well.
If you get injured, simply say the word and I'll patch you up straight away.
Your Highness, do take care not to go overboard.
You worry too much to do. I'll be fine, I promise.
My companions, is there not something inherently wrong with crossing blades as a way to bond with each other?
Huh, I never thought of it that way. Well, if that's how you feel, I suppose you'll just stay behind while the rest of us are at the training ground?
Ingrid, my dearest friend, you really are too harsh on me.
Well then, Professor, what do you think? As you can see, the Blue Lion House is a lively bunch, but you'll find none who work harder. I'm certain we'll cause our fair share of trouble, but I'm very much looking forward to the year ahead.
I can't remember where the save screen is. Ah! Should be soon. Should be like after this loading screen, I think, but I can't remember. Oh, I can never remember anything. Nice.
Say, while you're here, I'd like to use this device I designed to determine whether the power of a crest resides within you. Won't hurt a bit. Promise. You don't know about crests? Well, allow me to tell you everything, absolutely everything about them. Is your calendar clear? This will take a while. Crests are a fascinating topic, but before one can dive deeply into said topic, one must first understand what crests are. They are power incarnate. They are said to have been bestowed upon humans by the goddess countless ages ago. They exist within the flesh and are passed down through bloodlines. Those who carry crests may excel at magic, display exceptional strength, or any number of boons. Each crest has its own power, the nature of which is beyond mortal understanding. For now. I suspect as much, yes. But we won't know for sure unless I look into the matter. As I said, crests are passed down through the blood. However, just because someone carries a crest does not necessarily mean their descendants will inherit it as well. Only a scarce few descendants of a crest's bloodline end up inheriting that crest's power. Perhaps one of your ancestors bore a crest, and you just happen to inherit it. That is how a crest usually presents itself, after all. Yes, of course. I'll get to the bottom of it straight away. Now then, please go ahead and hold out your arm over this device here. What is this? A pattern I've never seen before. Is it possible an as yet undiscovered crest has been detected? To think there are still crests out there that even I am unaware of. How thrilling! Ahem. Pardon my unrestrained jubilation. I have much to consider. You may leave now. I have more research to do in regard to this crest. Yes, so very much more research. But for now, your work here is done. What could this line here be indicating? Perhaps it represents a lack of symmetry. Or perhaps... What in the world? Oh, I see. It may be connected to that, but to a greater degree than usual.
Alrighty.
With each moon, it notes
Yes, I know how to play the game. Okay. Alright, that'll be it for that. Well, let me go ahead and just do it here just to get into the habit of saving it like this. And alright, that's the end of the video. Those are all the character introductions and everything. And next will be the first Explorer. I'll just go ahead and set everyone's goals up this chapter as well, and probably talk about some other stuff. But alright, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Till next time.